Okay, so we're past the hour and I think we're ready to start. So hello and welcome to the next in our series of webinars from Rahi Systems. My name is Marcus Doran and I'm the General Manager for Rahi Systems here in Europe. In this month's webinar, we will be discussing the future of audiovisual on the corporate network. And in the hot seat today is George Aston. George is a manufacturer's representative with a firm called the Farm AV in Northern California. So welcome, George. And his firm represents AV manufacturers whose products are at the leading edge of AV over IP technology. Now, as part of our monthly webinars, we encourage the attendees to put questions into the chat box. And what we'll do is after George's presentation, we will come back to those and try and answer all of the questions. If we don't get to answer all of the questions, we will come back to those we did not and answer those individually. So again, welcome George, and now I'll pass it over to yourself. Thank you.
Hi, my name is George. Thank you for the introduction, Marcus. As he mentioned, today we will be discussing the future of AV on the corporate network. We will also be taking a look at how the digital sunrise has affected the convergence of AV and IT. So let's jump right in. Video and audio conferencing has evolved rapidly in recent years, expanding beyond standalone hardware systems towards software and network solutions. Smartphone advancements and social media are changing the way we communicate. Younger generations expect technology to work instantly and effortlessly at the touch of a button. Mobility is essential these days, and it's not uncommon to have a conversation while one or multiple participants are traveling. The workplace itself is changing too. The increase in global collaboration means that video conferencing and web collaboration tools have become an essential part of everyday business. Meeting rooms of today must be flexible and efficient and able to support a variety of devices, meeting styles, and callers. Network audio is a growing technology that is helping to meet new demands in teleconferencing. Here are a few of the benefits of adding network audio to your organization. Network audio can coexist on a corporate network using the same cabling and infrastructure implemented for other data and services, including security measures already in place by the IT department. Network audio allows for remote monitoring and troubleshooting of the audio signal and devices. This is especially useful for organizations with centralized support teams or multiple disparate meeting locations. Physical space requirements are greatly reduced along with infrastructure installation difficulties. Being able to connect and power devices with standard Cat5 cable reduces cabling errors. Reduced rack space and the lack of separate AV cabinets frees up costly real estate in IDFs and rack rooms. Lastly, network audio provides options for routing and control of the audio signal without degradation. There are three common concerns to anticipate about network audio. Will it work on our network? How will it affect the bandwidth performance? And is it secure? Let's go over each of these in detail. The first question is the most obvious. Will it work on our network? The audio networking solution implemented by Shure is Dante by Audinate. Dante, which stands for Digital Audio Network through Ethernet, is an audio over IP protocol that leverages existing IT networking standards. Dante delivers uncompressed, multi-channel, low-latency latency digital audio over a standard Ethernet network using Layer 3 IP packets. Dante works with standard Ethernet equipment and off-the-shelf components found in typical data networks. Like other data networks, Dante uses logical routes instead of physical point-to-point connections, so the network can be expanded and reconfigured at any time from a computer. How will Dante affect bandwidth performance? Bandwidth is defined as the amount of data that can flow through the network in a given time frame. It is a common misconception that bandwidth is simply the speed of your network. It is more accurate to think of bandwidth as the amount of water flowing through a water pipe. A wider pipe allows more water to pass, where a smaller pipe would need more time to pass the same amount of water. Similarly, more bandwidth allows more data to pass through at a time. Bandwidth is measured in bits per second. Gigabit Ethernet has a bandwidth of 1 gigabit or 1,000 megabits per second. With networks being so critical to the modern toolset, it is no wonder that bandwidth is such a concern. The good news is that Dante traffic is bandwidth efficient, bundling 4 channels into shared data packets called a Dante flow. Dante Audio is unicast by default, meaning each channel has only one sender and one receiver. Dante is stable and can be reliably calculated ahead of time for planning and preparation. Dante equals digital audio networking through Ethernet. Dante was developed by an Australian company named Audinate and is an audio over IP protocol that leverages existing IT networking standards. Dante delivers uncompressed multi-channel low-latency digital audio over a standard Ethernet network using Layer 3 IP packets. Dante works with standard Ethernet equipment and off-the-shelf components found in typical data networks. Bandwidth. Bandwidth is defined as the amount of data that can flow through the network in a given time frame, and it is measured in bits per second. 1 gigabyte per second equals 1,000 megabytes per second. AES stands for Advanced Encryption Standard. AES is a specification for the encryption of electronic data established by the U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology. A VLAN is a virtual local area network. The VLAN partitions the network into segments that can be isolated and managed independently behind a firewall. We are starting to see the effects of the analog sunset, effects like the lack of analog connections on audio and computer hardware. The catchphrase in the last few years has been the IT and AV convergence. Recently, this buzzword has become the reality, as the advancement of AV technology, protocols, and services have made the need for this merger abundantly clear. The ability to provide control, software as a service, analytics, and more makes the move of AV to local area networks or wide area networks a necessity. Each year, manufacturers of content distribution appliances introduce new sender and receiver units. This provides maximum flexibility with regards to expansion and growth. As your footprint and AV needs grow, just plug one of these new, easy-to-configure appliances into your network. The key is ensuring that the network has a large enough backbone to support these new additions. By investing in a well-designed, sustainable AV network infrastructure now, enterprise spaces will be well-positioned to take advantage of new emerging technologies such as AI, virtual reality, and augmented reality, as well as current cloud-based offerings and outsourced management services. The key is to have these conversations with the IT department as early as possible in the planning stages. IT departments are notoriously defensive about their networks, and rightly so. If the network goes down, business stops, and the spotlight is on them to fix it with the clock ticking. As such, they are resistant to adding an unknown quantity like AV. Questions to ask include, who will be dealing with the data? Do we have adequate technical specs like bandwidth and latency to support AV? Who will be supporting the system if there is a service need? Knowing the IT language and topography is a big help when initializing these conversations. Talking points include VLAN requirements, switch port configurations, power over Ethernet budgets, security protocols, and bandwidth. Having the ability to speak the IT language often makes this transition much smoother for the IT groups and helps blend the AV and IT teams as more friend than foe.
Great, so thanks for that presentation, George. And now looking at the chat box, we have a number of questions in. We're going to try and get to all of those, but the first one in, George, for yourself, is will placing AV on our network be expensive?
There will be an initial cost to consider when installing a new AV network, but this is an important business decision with ongoing consequences. First is the user experience or perception by the users. Stable, high-quality audio enhances the perception of the call, perhaps most critically when a potential client is on the far end. Second is increased productivity. Meetings are more productive and collaborative when each person is heard and feels like an equal member of the discussion. Audio interruptions, background noises, and hard-to-hear speech can be distracting and easily lead to disengagement. Lastly is the overall health and well-being of your employees. This improves when the audio is clear and intelligible, as it reduces listening fatigue and exhaustion. These factors, along with the ability to integrate emerging technologies, should weigh into your decision to upgrade your existing or install a new AV network.
Second question in is, which standard should I choose?
While Dante and AES-67 are generally considered the most common standards, you will want to work with your consultant or AV integrator to decide which format best suits your environment.
And the next question in, question number 3, what are the most common problems with AV on the network?
A few of the most common problems you find with AV on the network are not having a dedicated VLAN, having your multicast signals being blocked by existing IT infrastructure, and having limited network audio bandwidth. These problems can be generally solved in advance as part of the initial discussions between the AV and IT departments.
Question number 4, are there trainings to further educate our IT AV staff with regards to networked AV?
Many manufacturers have online trainings and classroom trainings to further educate IT and AV staff. Sure's Audio Institute is one such training site. This website has many webinars and tutorials geared towards not just fundamentals of AV, but advanced applications as well. We find that many enterprise installations, IT and AV departments use these trainings as a way to further their own knowledge in order to best service their own environments.
Excellent. So thanks for taking the time, George, to present to us today and also to answer all of those questions. And again, thank you to all the folks who attended today's webinar and put the questions in through the chat box. There was a couple more that just came in at the very end, so we're going to circle back to those individually and answer them in due course. So again, George, thank you for your time. I appreciate everybody's attendance. For more information on our AV technology, please visit our website at rahisystems.com, and we look forward to seeing you again on our next webinar in November. So again, thank you for joining us today and have a great day.